Because the Red Sea on this map was the sea, the divide between California and the mainland. That's right here, which at the time was governed on this map where it says the ancient government of California was running this. So if this was the Red Sea and this was Little Egypt, you understand what I'm saying? And then this is Grenada, and then this is Spain. Think about what I'm saying, Morris. Like, dude, this is crazy. If this was Little Egypt, and this was the Red Sea, and this is Grenada, and then this is Hispania, Spain, then what's really going on? You understand what I'm saying to you? Like, what are they really doing? What did they really do? They really took you out of time altogether, history altogether. They just jumbled it up and used different names and other people to use your place. So they'll, just like today, like the guy, you ever seen that movie with Nicolas Cage called World Trade Center? Well, if you haven't or didn't, it doesn't matter. But that movie is actually based on a black man. His character in real life that he's playing in that movie was actually a black man. But you never know. Because they never showed you a dude in it. So what does that say? That says that if they've been doing that with little things like movies like that, then think about what we're saying, Morris. Think about what's going on. They moved you out of your actual time frame. That's why everybody want to deny you. That's why everybody want to tell you what you're not. Have you ever seen anybody come up to anybody and tell them that they're not a Kenyan or they're not Harappan or Samoan or a Hmong or have you ever? The only people that get told who and what they are is Asiatic people here in America. Why? Why is that? Why is it such a problem when I define myself? Because when I define myself, they lose jurisdiction, they lose title. And this is about title. This is about using your title as a means to enforce your will on other people, and the absence of title to do the same. That's what it's all about. Now remember, we just read in this report, in the war report, going back to 1928, because I don't really trust nothing after that, because after that, everything was put under what they called the Edwards Act, which I think you can't even, now that I've been talking about it so much all these years, I don't even think it's under that anymore. I think they put it under something else. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the type of stuff that's going on. So, according to this, the American citizenship, what makes us American citizens, meaning citizens of America, and the same thing about the United States yet, means for 150 years following the first settlement of the American colonies, meaning that the American colonies, meaning that there were Americans already there, and these so-called colonies showed up. You know what I'm saying? So boom, these are the Americans. Before we get it twisted, let's show the Americans, the real Americans, the true red, what they say, red-blooded or blue-blooded, the red-blooded blue bloods. Those are the real Americans. That's us. Because we can't be deported nowhere. We can't, they gotta make it up. They gotta figure out ways to get us off of the land. The most you could do is deport me to Kings County, Brooklyn. That's the farthest you could really get me. Because really, on January 3rd, 1845, in regards to the annexation of Texas, the stupendous deserts of the Nueces and the Bravo rivers are the natural boundaries between the Anglo-Saxon and the Mauritanian races. When have you ever heard them refer to Mauritanian races, meaning groups of different types of Moors or Mauritanians, which is a Latin term. That's a Latin word. That's not English. That's Old Latin. So when we talk about Mauritania over there, Mauritius over there, find out when they were founded. Because they were founded based upon the titles of nobility and stuff that we already had by setting up the colonies we set up over there in ancient times, which allowed us to rule Europe through. The Anglo-Saxon and the Mauritanian races, there ends the Valley of the West, there Mexico begins, thence the Bravo begin, the Moorish people and their Indian associates, to whom Mexico properly belongs. Mexico meaning all of the land, meaning the freehold. Okay? So that means then 150 years before that, all of this land over here was a part of the United States, the Societas Republicae y Mauritanianos Estados. The Mauritanos is where we get the Mauritanian from because it's all Latin. And the only people that were speaking Latin over here was us. And all of the so-called Mauritanian Moorish peoples were already over here looking like this. We were the ones that laid siege to Rome and went in from northern Africa, meaning north of Africa, right? Us over here in North America went over to Africa, shut it down from the beachhead that we set up in that became the Barbary States. Because the Barbary States were created by the Barbary powers, and the Barbary powers were the ones that gave jurisdiction for the United States to function. We can prove this in the book, Diplomatic Relations Between the United States and the Barbary Powers by Irwin. We can prove it by the books with Chitsey, but don't worry, I'll show you all of the titles of the books by the end of the class, so you can just get them yourself. So, you see that. You see, and their Indian associates, which means the Indians were at the bottom. People referring to themselves as Indians, see what I'm saying? We're the bottom. They were associates. If I have a law firm, and the law firm is Hancock and Associates, who do the associates work for? You know what I'm saying? And then they get mad at us for exposing. Who is the associates under? Do the associates own the company? Their ownership, meaning control, meaning jurisdiction. So again, when we say their associates, we talking about the people who we allowed to be here. So why are they mad at us? Doesn't matter. But when we get to the biblical aspect of the whole Hebrew Moabite thing, they want to act like we just proved again that the Red Sea, Egypt, all of that was right here. And the peoples and at the same time, that place, the Red Sea, Egypt, existed. So did Granada, Spain, Hispania, which represents also Haiti, Hispaniola, right? We just proved that all these places existed simultaneously on the same map. And that these people were referred to as Mauritanians, which means they spoke themselves Latin, which was indigenous over here. Why? Because this was the ancient Atlantis, and Latin being the derivative of Old Tamil, which was spoken by who? The Asiatics. When you research the history of Rome, Romulus and Remus, they ask you where they got their language from. They got it from the Etruscans. Who the Etruscans got it from? They got it from the Latin, what they call the Latins. But they weren't called just the Latins. That was the language that the white man would say the Latins or the Latinum, right? Or the Levant, they'll say that. The Levantines, see? All these different words for Moors. The real name was the Gaetulians. The people who were always happy. So they had to take the word gay and turn it into a sodomite thing. See? So I'm showing you that the U.S. citizens are Mauritanians. That's what I'm proving to you. And that these Mauritanians consolidated themselves as Moorish peoples and were also called Moroccans. And those Moroccans were consolidated by Charles V in 1526, and those Moorish peoples became known as Spaniards. And those Spanish people at that time came to be known as Frenchmen. We just proved that Grenada, Hispania, the Red Sea, Egypt, all existed in America at the same time. And that crossing the Red Sea was basically going from mainland America, crossing over to what we call California, across the river. So, the Moabites were described, they used to wear tunics, low-crowned hats, or turban-like caps, and easy-going sandals. As wealth came, they covered their feet with leather shoes, their tunics with fringed caftans. Their women, who were among the most beautiful of antiquity, painted their cheeks and eyes and wore all jewelry they could get, and adopted the best of their ability, the newest style from Babylon, Nineveh, Damascus, and Tyre. All those Phoenician dominions by this time. Hebrew was among the most majestically sonorous of all languages of the earth. Despite its gutturals, it was full of masculine music. Renan described it as a quiver full of arrows, a trumpet of braces crashing through the air. It did not differ much from the speech of the Phoenicians or Moabites. The Jews used an alphabet akin to the Phoenician. Some scholars believe it to be the oldest alphabet known. They did not bother to write vowels, leaving these for the sense to fill in. Even today, the Hebrew vowels are mere points of adjoining consonants. The invaders never formed a united nation, but remained for a long time as 12 or more or less independent tribes, organized and ruled with the principles not of the state, but of the patriarchal family. So you see the difference between the ancient Moabite, Phoenician, Damascus, Tyre Moors, and the invaders who set up the 12, what we call the 12 tribes, which really may not even have existed the way we think. These could have been all of the different people who were born under a specific sign of the zodiac at a specific time. And they were grouped into this based upon them all having the traits of a Sagittarius and then this. That's why each tribe is governed by a sign. But the sign for the Pahath Moab was the circle, representing all of them and none of them. That's why they don't like us, Moors. I be trying to figure out, like, why this is why. Because we gave them this stuff. Because all of this stuff, they just flipped around. This Red Sea stuff basically shows and proves not only who was already here, but who the American citizens really are. They're the Mauritanians, who can reconsolidate themselves in modern times as the Moroccan Empire or Barbary or Tartary or whatever. You know what I'm saying?